Now, the other issue that keeps ticking away, of course, is the Peter Slipper James Ashby matter. Now, what was new this week was a text message from Steve Lewis that said, "We will get him," which raises questions about the level of involvement on the part of the journalist and the organisation. We'll hear from Anthony Albanese on that.
The media's main role is to report the news, not to make the news. People in the media need to recognise whether they're reporters or they're participants, whether they're observers or they're activists.
Now, the key to this is whether or not material was taken from Peter Slipper's diary and then passed on to the media. I guess that then becomes potentially a criminal matter. There's a real shift, though, there has been on this issue. I suppose it's a question of whether this winter of discontent that Julia Gillard and the Labor Party clearly face could be tempered to an extent if they make some ground on the carbon tax issue. And if this one
Well, I noticed that
goes into reverse.
You asked her, Barry, whether she would put Peter Slipper back in the chair straight away, and she didn't say she would.
No, and why do you think that was?
Was it a matter of endorsement? I mean, I'm not quite sure. I thought that was quite curious because the impression I've had from government ministers is that once he's cleared, he's back in the
No, but you won't want it.
Well, I think also, I mean, remember at the heart of this is allegations of sexual harassment. Everything the government's put out so far in the last week doesn't really go to whether that allegation is true or not, I don't think. So therefore the PM presumably wants to be careful about endorsing someone who could still be found by a court guilty of sexual harassment.
Well, that was cleared.
But if he's cleared of that, and surely if your argument is that Tony Abbott has gone in too hard on this and prejudged it and the whole thing was unfair on Peter Slipper, then you need to put him back in the chair to underline and reinforce that point.
My personal feeling is that there's a lot on Labor's side who wouldn't want Peter Slipper back in the chair, but they don't want to get him offside either, and they might be hoping that he might come to his own conclusion that it's better for him to not be in the chair. I think they might think that was better all round, but I don't know.
They can't lose sight of the numbers either, and Andrew Wilkie has already demonstrated that he's prepared to cross to vote for the coalition.
Not unless
on certain
he's
issues.
Speaker.
I guess that's
I think Mr. Wilkie
Hello.
yeah, and
if not leader of the armed forces plus treasurer.
and what's the feeling on the media matter and the Steve Lewis involvement?
Look, I mean, the notion that reporters get leaks is not terrifically new.
And this is far more than that.
Well,
you know
is it?
Far more than that.
Well, let's see.
Let's
see. Truly, let's wait and see. Now, going to the politics, though, of it, I think that's very interesting. And again, we'll have to wait and see. But if it is established that Mal Brough used this young man, who obviously was in some sort of distressed state over something or other, whether it was his prospects of getting a job in the LNP elsewhere or whatever, his treatment by Mr. Slipper, if Mal Brough exploited this young man for pretty obvious political motives, one, to get himself pre-selected for Fisher and win the seat, two, to negate Mr. Slipper's seat in the Parliament.
And if the media exploited this young man as well?
No, but I think
isn't that an issue as well?
I think, what are we saying here? We're all hanging this on this text, OK? Now, I have to admit Steve Lewis is a friend of mine, but I haven't spoken to him about this text. A text can mean a lot of things. We don't know what that means exactly. But if I was a journalist and someone said, oh, here's this material, I've got this to prove it, and it's I wouldn't think twice it was a photocopied of some politician's diary if it was proving, in the end, upholding a story that was a worthy story to tell.
All right, I'm sorry, we do have to move on. We're running out of time. But more with our panel shortly. Andrew Probyn, Malcolm Farr and Fran Kelly. But now it's time for Mike Bowers and Talking Pictures.